Hey everybody, this is Captain Kyle. I'm here with Cas Anvar from the Expanse, Assassin's Creed, and Batman versus the Ninja Turtles.
That's it.
And we're going to talk about fans and saving shows.
Just having fun.
The big news is with the Expanse, how Sci-Fi had canceled it, but it got rescued by Amazon.
I like to say they didn't renew it, rather than
Failed
they canceled
to renew.
Failed
Yes.
to renew. Just because, and the reason I say it's not as a joke is more that that Sci-Fi itself said, you know, we've never had to cancel a great show before, so they just the model that old school cable worked on was just not a financially feasible model anymore, so they couldn't continue.
With the whole effort to bring the Expanse to when it was failed, when it was not renewed, to bring it over to Prime, how did that come about?
It went out after we didn't get renewed. We tried to find a home, but it's really hard to find a home for a show that has already had 3 seasons on a specific network. Mm-hmm. Very few people want to take that risk of a show that's branded on a network to then reclaim it and try and make it your own. So we weren't having a lot of luck, and then the fans got involved.
I was going to say, how much was the fan base?
Oh, they were embroiled. They were so upset. I mean, and our show got canceled at the same time as a number of other shows like Brooklyn Nine-Nine, and the fandoms of all these different shows were just seething and boiling. There was so much activity. I don't know the whole story behind Brooklyn Nine-Nine. I don't know how it happened, but they got renewed really, really quickly. They got picked back up in like 48 hours. The thing about our show, the fans of The Expanse they're a unique breed. They're very, very science savvy. They're very technical. They're very kind of like geeky and nerdy, and this particular group of fans, these thousands of people, formed kind of like a coalition to save the show, and they literally created a team of dozens of people, everybody having their own jobs. Some people writing text, some people doing graphics, some people creating videos, some people stirring up the fandom, and they were organized and they were sophisticated, and they put out a campaign that just started to build up momentum and build up steam. And I started to notice this, and I noticed what was happening. They started a petition, and I got in contact with a couple of these super fans because we had basically let go of the show. And I found out what they were planning. They were planning to do this banner thing, which they raised $5,000 in like 3 hours. And they were going to do a Save the Expanse banner in Los Angeles. And I said, that's an amazing idea, and I can't believe you guys were able to make this happen in like 10 minutes. I said, when are you going to do this? I said, well, they said, well, we're deciding, we're either going to do 4 hours all at once, or we're going to do 2 2-hour blocks. And I said, what days? And they said, tomorrow. I said, can you make it day after tomorrow? And then I got my publicist to go and create a press release so that when they did it, there was going to be people watching from the outside and reporting on it. And I said, do 2 2-hour blocks, because that's going to give you the best chance, because their plan was to do it outside Amazon headquarters. And I thought, what a brilliant idea. And I said, that way you're going to hit 2 really key windows, and you're going to have a better chance of actually getting noticed. And so they said, okay, and they waited, and I got the press release out. We sent 3,000 press releases out. The press were waiting for it. I had people down on the site videotaping and photographing it so that we could actually get some nice shots online. And they put it up, and apparently, because now I'm friends with a lot of these Amazon execs, apparently they were all going into board meetings, and they were all kind of like getting staff meetings happening, and people were like, hey, there's a thing outside. So it was like they timed it perfectly so that the banner Save the Expanse was flying by the Amazon headquarters right when it needed to be. And from what I understand, because the fans were making so much noise, it was really creating a lot of traction. Some people were actually contacting Jeff Bezos himself personally, some fans and some celebrities. Like I'd heard George R.R. Martin got involved, the owner of Craigslist got involved. There's a bunch of actors and CEOs that were saying, hey, that show you love so much is getting canceled, you gotta save it. And I think he put his 2 cents in.
So where were you when you heard the news that, you know, Amazon was...
Oh, where was I? That was a magical magical night. So during this whole time, so the Save the Expanse banner happened on the 18th of May. A week later, we had the show announced that it was going to be picked up on the 25th of May. Between the 18th and the 25th, I had been asked to do a panel, a Science of the Expanse panel at a International Space Development Conference. It was like full of scientists and press, and it was a very space-heavy, colonizing the solar system type of thing. It's like a NASA type event, and I was going to go and do that alone. Just because I love to do science stuff, and I've been doing these little things around the country for the whole 3 seasons of the show. And then I found out that Jeff Bezos was going to be at this event, and he was going to be receiving an award, completely independent of us. It was just him with Blue Origin, his space company. He was receiving an award as a space pioneer, and I found out Jeff was going to be there, and I called up the actors, and I called up the producers and the writers, and I said, I think we should all go and do this panel. And then we had a bunch of video clips in my panel, and I got them all branded with Amazon logos, because it was on Amazon Prime. It was as our second window. It was streaming on Amazon Prime. And I found out when Jeff was going to be showing up for his award, and they said, he's going to be getting here around 6 o'clock. I said, okay, let's make the panel at 5, because if he wanders in early, we're going to be doing our panel. He might see his logo on the screen, and maybe we can kind of inspire him. And he's going to see the cast there. And so we did the panel. There was like 1,000 scientists, and it went really, really well. I had it was me and Steven Strait and Wes Chatham and Kara G and Narain Shankar and a couple of other people on this panel. It was really, really fun. Kyle Hill, who's the guy who does Because Science on Nerdist. He was our moderator. Very, very funny. And they loved it. The press was there. And then just as we finished, someone comes and whispers in my ear, Jeff Bezos is in the lobby. And I was like, oh, and he arrived exactly on cue. And so I went out into the lobby, and I saw him there, and his security was around him. And I went up and I tapped the security, and I said, I'd just like to say hi to Jeff. I'm one of the actors from The Expanse. He goes, oh, okay. And Jeff turns around, he sees me, and he goes, oh, you! And I had this huge big beard. Like I was surprised he recognized me. But he goes, I love your show. You're such a good actor. And I was like so touched by his kind of just generosity and his effusiveness. And I was like, I didn't realize you watched the show. I thought you were just a fan of the books. He goes, no, I love the show. I love the books too, but I love the show. And he says to me, I'm so sorry about what's happened with the show. He says, I'm so sorry that you guys are struggling right now. But you know, Amazon, we're looking at the show right now, but there's so many things. It's so complicated. Nothing has worked out yet, but I've got my fingers crossed. I hope it works out. And he was very non-committal, very kind of like very like, you know, there's so many logistics to work out. There's a lot of complicated contractual things. And this is all stuff I had heard, and he just confirmed it. And shook hands, and then I went back, and everyone was like, what did he say? What did he say? And I told the cast what he said. And then while we were talking, someone came up and said, Jeff wants to meet the whole cast at dinner, because we were doing a big gala evening. And we got all excited, and so we went to the soiree, and our tables were beside each other. And so we all met Jeff, and he was like, again, very, very complimentary. He goes, you guys are the best cast, I love you guys. And we took a bunch of really exciting photos, like all these like fist pump photos. And then he said, he goes, and I'm so sorry about what's going on with this, but you know, Amazon, we're looking at the show, but there's so many things. He just said the same thing, like, I hope it works out, but we have no idea. And and then he went and sat down, we went and sat down. And I'm looking over at him, and all these people talking to him, and I'm thinking, we had 2 business conversations. I want to do something really kind of personal with him, because I had read a bit about him, and I knew he was a bit of a spiritual guy. He has a lot of vision. I said, I want to do something that's personal. So I looked at my bag, and I had a swag bag, and inside I had an Expanse comic that was like the origin of the Rossi crew. And so I passed it around the table, and everyone signed it. And I scampered over to him, and I said, hey Jeff, I have a feeling you're a bit of a nerd. And he laughed. He laughed his head off, because I had heard he's a huge Star Trek fan. And I said, so I want you to have this from all of us, and you're never going to see a comic book signed by all these different people again. So it's really special for you just to say thanks for everything you've done. And he goes, well, thank you. And he was very touched. And then I left. And then as I'm leaving, I feel an arm grab me. And I turn around and he's holding on to me. He goes, come here. And he gets like 2 inches from my face and he says, I have a feeling that it's just really strange that everything's happening right now, where you guys are here and what's going on with your show and me being here and Amazon and everything. He goes, it's just, there has to be some significance to all of this at this event. And I'm like,
Nothing was planned.
and so I left. I scampered back to my table and I start eating, and I'm like, all my hairs on my neck are all standing up. And everyone says, what happened? He goes, I don't know. And we look over and he takes out his cell phone and he starts punching away on his cell phone. And I later find out that Jeff never texts. He never gets on his phone, especially when something's going on. There was awards going on the stage, and he was focused. He was just on his phone, pop, 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 for 10, 15 minutes, solid. And all of us at the table were looking and going, what the heck is going on? What do you think he's doing? And I said, what do you think he's doing? And after about 10 minutes, he puts his phone away. He's got a big smile on his face, and he's like looking back at the audience, at the stage again, and he's just like, happy, like the cat that ate the canary. And then finally they call his name. They say, Mr. Bezos, come up to receive your award. And he gets up there and everyone's cheering. He goes, hold on. Before we get to my interview, he goes, I just want to know, how many of you guys have heard of The Expanse? And we had just done a panel for like these people. So everyone's like, woo! And he goes, and then you guys know it's kind of sad what's happened with The Expanse. And our cast is here. The cast of The Expanse is in the audience. Stand up, take a bow. And we stood up. And he goes, but as you may know, they were struggling, and I told them an hour ago that there's no guarantees, and everyone's looking, but there's so many things to work out. He says, but as of 10 minutes ago, I just got word, The Expanse has been saved. The Rossi is safe. And our faces all just dropped, and I just shot up, and my arms were celebrating. I was like, woohoo! And
wow.
Steven Strait got up, and he was almost in tears, and Wes, and everyone just like shot out of their seats. And the audience, oh my God, the audience just roared. And none of us had a clue that this was about to happen. So that's part of the beauty of it. And that's just like, that's the kind of thing you can do when you're Jeff Bezos, right? It's like you're sitting there, there's a beautiful opportunity, there's press, there's scientists, there's the cast, and your company is working on negotiating a contract. So, he's like, if this thing's gonna happen, I want to announce now, is basically what he's saying. And in 15 minutes, they worked out this huge deal so that he could announce it in this way, and it just blew up. And it was amazing. It couldn't have been better.
Wow, that's. I was almost cheering up. This is just like, that was.
Oh, it's totally a Cinderella story. It was a beautiful thing, and and who knows? It probably would have gone through regardless, but this was such a nice dramatic way to go, and in this business, you never know. Like if there's another week or two left of negotiations, there's so many things that could happen that could derail it, right? Like there's like all sorts of foreign things, like foreign sales and all that stuff that could derail it. So the boss taking the reins and saying, let's push this through now, it just kind of like cemented it, and it was like, yes, it's done. We can't undo that.
That is awesome.
So it was fun.
So now that you have this new home, has it been different shooting? Are you less restrained as far as?
Yeah, I mean, working with Amazon, we couldn't be in a better place. Like Amazon is the best home for us. Like in hindsight, being canceled was the best thing that ever happened to us, because Sci-Fi produced a great show with us. They did a great job. The show looked good. It really did serve the books. It honored the story and everything, and it was a beautiful, high quality show. But we weren't reaching the audiences that we could reach, and it was being done in a format that didn't serve the kind of show we were, with commercial breaks and the 4 acts and all that stuff. So when we moved to Amazon, all of a sudden we're not restricted by time. We don't have to bang on 47 minutes every single episode. We don't have to worry about commercial breaks. We don't have the restrictions in terms of content. It's darker, it's sexier, it's a little more gritty, it's a little more real. We can get a little more gritty with the show, a little more real, a little more action. And I don't know if season 4 is necessarily gonna have like this massive infusion of cash, but definitely we've got an incredible team at Amazon that are backing it in terms of they want this show not just to be a great sci-fi show. They want this show to be a great show. They want this show to go to tens of millions of people. They want it to go into everybody's homes. And they want this to be like their Game of Thrones.
That is awesome. Now, we all love The Expanse, but I do want to talk about some of your other work.
Yeah, absolutely.
So tell me about The Strain.
The Strain, actually, I booked that simultaneous to The Expanse. I ended up doing seasons 3 and seasons 4 of The Strain. They wanted me to do a series regular. I couldn't do a series regular because The Expanse kind of owns me for that. So they made him into a recurring character. I played a character called Sanjay Desai, who could not be more antithetical to my character of Alex Kamal. Alex is like a nice guy. He's a family. He's the kind of the glue and the bond that holds the Rossi crew together. And Sanjay is just a despicable, kind of conniving, selfish, self-absorbed, heartless guy. Although he doesn't think so. He thinks he's doing the right thing. But it was a difficult shoot for me, not because I didn't enjoy it, but because the character was so dark. Sanjay literally had to sell his soul in order to survive. In order to save himself and his wife, he would do anything to support the vampire kind of takeover. And he ended up starting up a meat factory for them, where they would bring in people and they would get drained of their blood and processed and all that stuff. And he was running that thing as a human. It was a very disturbing role because he was a collaborator. He wasn't a vampire. He was a collaborator, a human collaborator with the vampires. And the character was based on these collaborators from World War II that were helping the Nazis kind of set up the concentration camps and all that. And it was based on some real interviews. And when I asked the writers about this and heard about these interviews, it was disturbing how these people rationalized and justified their actions. They really truly believed in what they were doing. And when they were confronted with it 60 years later, they would become hostile and aggressive. They had still not come to terms with kind of the contribution they had in that tragedy.
Well, no villain wants to actually think themselves as the villain. It's, this is a necessary evil. I'm doing this
exactly
for a purpose. So I take it between Alex and Sanjay, you're definitely more leaning towards Alex as your real person.
Oh yeah, me and Alex are very much alike. He's a Mars-born fighter pilot of East Indian descent with a Texas accent that started off as a bus driver and then found himself thrust into the fire and became one of the best fighter pilots in the entire system. And I'm a Canadian-born scientist that had the bug to become an artist, and finally, after going to university for biochemistry and psychiatry and all that, just gave in to becoming an actor. And I'm from Persian Lebanese descent, and ended up as an actor somehow when my path was something completely different. And a lot of the stuff that Alex does and the way he interacts with people and some of his history, a lot of that stuff I share with him. So we're pretty close friends in that way.
So you also do some voice work.
Yeah.
Assassin's Creed.
Yeah. Played Altair in Assassin's Creed.
And you've also done the new Batman versus the Ninja Turtles.
That was a real thrill. I was really honored because they offered me the role of Ra's al Ghul, which I've been wanting to do for a decade, because ever since I saw Liam Neeson do it in Batman Returns, I was like, that's a character I want to do. And the character, Ra's al Ghul, originally is a character of Middle Eastern descent, and he's just such a sophisticated, intelligent, dangerous man who believes passionately in his vision of the world. And he's been living for hundreds of years. He had the Lazarus Pit. He renewed himself every 80 years or so, and he's in his prime, but he's got 700 years of life experience. And it's just such a fascinating character who's striving to improve the world. He wants to improve the world, but it's in such a single-minded and in some people's opinions, a destructive way. But he believes that what he's doing is right, and it's an interesting character to play when they have this nobility about them, even though what they're doing is so drastically difficult to process.
Kind of like Thanos on a much
Yeah.
on a smaller scale.
No, it's a small. Yeah, you're right. Thanos is very much that type of character who thinks he's doing good for the universe, even if he has to wipe out half the population of the universe. And Ra's al Ghul, he survival of the fittest. He wants to create the master, strong human race by eliminating and culling out all the weak, and he turns people on themselves and gets the cities to destroy themselves so they can rise stronger.
So we actually did ask some fans for some questions for you.
Sure.
How familiar were you with the books before you actually auditioned for the role?
I'm ashamed to say I had not read the books. I'm a big sci-fi fan. I'm a big nerd, and I love all the classics. The Ray Bradbury, Isaac Asimov, and Heinlein and Anderson and all those guys. And I love sci-fi, and I had missed this. I don't know how I missed it, but I had. When I got the pilot to read after I auditioned, and I still didn't know whether or not I had got the role, I read the pilot and I was like, wow, this is one of the best pilots I've read in like a decade. But I was thinking, how the hell are they going to do this as a TV show? With all of this like huge, epic kind of like science fiction world building. I was like, this is going to suck. They're going to have no money to do this. It's going to be horrible. And little did I know. So finally, I got the role, and when they explained the character to me, and just what I said before, Mars-born, East Indian Pakistani with a Texas accent fighter pilot, I'm like, I'm in. Sign me up. Show me where I got to go. And I show up for the first day in Toronto with these concerns in my head about how are we going to do this. And I'm looking into the studio, and it's 80,000 square feet of built set. They had already built like 80% of it. And I went and I kind of like wandered over to the set that was going to be the Rossi, and it was this 3-4 story building basically that housed the insides of the Rossi. And in season 1, they had rigged it, because we had a very big studio, all the different levels of the Rossi were all attached. So you could literally, if you shot it, go from my flight deck up in the pilot area all the way down the stairs to the ops deck, down the stairs to the galley, to the med bay, to the gym, to the quarters, and it was all attached. So you're literally working in a functioning kind of representation of the ship. It's like a playground for an actor. It was a dream. And then I went from set to set, and I just saw all these huge, epic, beautiful sets that they had built, and I was like, okay, I guess these guys are taking it real seriously. So I'm part of something big now, but I didn't realize it until I got there.
Very cool. Who's the biggest nerd among the cast who like?
There's a big debate. There's kind of a competition. I think I'm coming in with the most nerd cred because I'm a huge comic book collector. I've got like 10,000 books. I'm a gamer, and I'm a science fiction fantasy lover. And but Wes, who plays Amos, is he's focused. He's a master of science fiction. Like, he has seen every movie, every television show, and he can. So him and I are, I think, competing for the master nerd title. But I'm not including necessarily the showrunners and the writers, because those guys are pretty good. Ty is a huge gamer. Ty, who's half of James S.A. Corey, he's a huge gamer. Actually, Ty and Daniel, I found out Daniel is a gamer too. These guys sit around, and that's how they brainstorm. They play games, and I think that's how they met, because Ty had created The Expanse as a game. It was a role-playing game, and then it was a video game, and then it became a series, a book series based on Daniel saying we should write a book about this, and he said okay. And but there's a lot of nerd in this creative team. There's a lot of nerd.
That's awesome. How's the coffee really?
How's it? That's funny. That's a good question. I've never actually had the coffee. It's a very fancy machine that we use on set. I usually get them to make me tea though. So the tea's good.
And last thing from fans, May of last year, you had a tweet about people watching live.
Yes.
That you promised to sing a song.
Oh, man.
Cowboys Shoes in season 4.
Oh, man.
Do it upside down this time.
Oh, geez.
So they're wondering, can they expect this song to happen? What song is it going to be? This
is the promise that will never go away. It's like that thing you say that you're like, you know what? And this is like the 5th time it's gotten brought up, and I think And I said, I told the last time this was brought up, my Amazon publicist was there, the person who's like the head publicist of Amazon. And I said, you got to help me. She goes, you're on your own, man. I think I got to do something. So let's say I have not forgotten my promise, and you guys came through. So I'm going to have to do something, or else I'm going to have egg on my face. So let me just figure out how I'm going to do this. It's the upside down part that's got me messed up, because I basically said I was going to do it on set upside down in zero gravity. So I got to figure out a different way to do it. But I have not forgotten, and I will honor that promise.
You heard it here.
It's
going to happen.
And I hate you all for remembering and for bringing it up again. So just hate all around.
Sorry, not sorry. So what else are you working on? What else is coming out that you can talk about?
I just premiered 2 films, actually. The first one is called The Lie. Veena Sood created it, directed and wrote it. Veena Sood's one of the main creative talents behind The Killing. And she was the creator of 7 Seconds on Netflix, that really amazing police story, murder mystery. And she wrote this very, very dark, very, very powerful movie called The Lie with Peter Sarsgaard and Mireille Enos, who are from The Killing, and myself, and Jerry King. And that's a thriller that has like some amazing twists and turns, and it's a thriller with a message as well, which Veena always kind of like puts some very heavy and important messages in her stories. The second thing I'm doing is called The Operative, which is a spy thriller with Diane Kruger and Martin Freeman. So I got to work with Bilbo and or Watson. I mean, his career is amazing. Like, you look at his Fargo and The Avengers and Sherlock and Lord of the Rings and Hobbit. It's like amazing. I mean, I would kill for his career. And he's an amazing actor, and he's an amazing guy. He's hilarious. I had a great time with him and Diane. And this is a spy thriller, but it's a completely different take on a spy movie, because it's not about car chases and action and gunfights and everything. It's really a dark kind of exploration of what the cost is, the human cost on these people who have to literally spend years of their life lying to themselves and the people around them. What is the cost of that life? And it was really based on a lot of true stories from people who were in MI6 and the Mossad and the CIA. And what is the cost on them, and what is the cost on the people around them that they're lying to and whose lives they're kind of completely disrupting and destroying. And it's based on a lot of true stories, and it's about a Mossad agent that has to infiltrate an engineering firm in Iran to try and get them to participate in selling flawed parts to the nuclear arms program in Iran. And so my character, I play the engineer that Diane Kruger, who's the agent, she comes in, we end up falling in love and having a relationship, but she still ends up, doing her mission. And what is the impact on me and on her and how it all goes, that's what the movie's all about. And Martin Freeman plays her handler.
Wow, sounds like you have a career that's approaching Martin Freeman. So,
well, from your lips to God's ears, we'll wait and see.
Oh, is there anything you want to say to your fans? Apparently, you hate a little bit of them.
Yeah, I hate you all for how much you remember. But in honor of how much I hate you, I'm putting on this fun little event called Martian on the Loose, which is a cool little thing that it happened by accident a few months ago, and it was so popular that I said, you know what, I'm going to kind of continue this. And basically, I created this thing called Martian on the Loose, because I do all these crazy, stupid things. Like, for the past 3 years, I've been doing things for the fans, and I figured I'll just brand it, because I am a bit of a Martian on the Loose. And the first thing I'm doing is this worldwide book hunt. James S.A. Corey gave me about 20 books of The Expanse, all the different installments from 1 to 8. And I am hiding these books all over the world, wherever I go. And then I'm going to be posting clues on the internet, on my social media, like riddles and digitally altered photos and sound clues, audio clues, things like that. And trying to give you hints as to where it's hidden. And then there's little password things that I do. So when you do find the location, you have to give the person who has the book the password in order to get the book. And inside the book, to kind of make it, to motivate you, I've signed in and I've put a little inscription in the book with a little clue to season 4. There's like a little tease in there just from Alex. And then when you find the book, you can take pictures of it and everything. You leave the book there for the next fan. But I left some really cool gifts. There's some original, authentic, kind of very special gifts that are there that I think everyone would love, and they get to take those home.
Awesome. And we're listing all the social media down in the description and here on the screen.
Yep.
So
and you can email Martian on the Loose. If you're not in one of the cities, like let's say we're in Boston and you don't live in Boston, you can participate online and just figure out the location online and email Martian on the Loose with the answers. And if you get it right, you'll still get a gift digitally.
That's
so
sweet.
How cool is that? That's how much I hate you. Yeah.
I can feel the hate just waving.
Yeah. When's he gonna sing Upside Down? Yeah. It's like, and I keep doing these things for you. What's wrong with me?
Just, you want to sing now? We could turn the camera.
No,
okay.
I do not.
Just trying to help you out here. Could pretend you're weightless.
I'm
we'll get a green screen.
I'm pissed off. This is the promise that never dies.
You put it on social media.
I know. Well, they saved the show, so it's like I got to do something, right? So they kept their word, so I got to keep my word. I just hate it.
It happens.
Yeah.
Cass, thank you so much.
Pleasure.
It's been a great pleasure. Everyone, thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time. As always, have fun and follow your fandom.
This is Goku. Thanks for watching. And remember, don't forget to subscribe. Yeah!